Well, great college football game. I thought, I don't know, it's almost hard for them to be a winner or loser in that game. I thought both teams played extremely hard. They played physical. Guys, both sides were getting beat up, coming back in the game, left and right. It was a very physical game. The guys played really hard on both sides. So, fortunately, we're on the wrong end of it. I thought basically guys played equal, really, throughout the quarter.
Wrong mic, sir.
I get to start all over, great.
Just push that mic button.
Can we start the game over? All right. So, as I just said, I thought both teams played extremely hard, played really good football, not a lot of penalties in the game, hardly any turnovers, one each till the last play of the game. Very physical up front, a lot of people getting hurt in the game and coming back in. Really proud of our guys for the way that they fought in there. Guys staying in there, and some names you hadn't heard before having to go in there when guys were going down and playing a ton of snaps. And the line of scrimmage, I thought we did pretty well. I think we would have probably felt like we would have won the game if I would have told you we averaged more per carry than they did. Probably the best rushing team in the country. So, unfortunately, we're on the wrong end of it, and it's a great rivalry. We've had two great games with them that we just haven't been able to finish off. As far as in the regulation, really disappointed in the officials. Extremely disappointed. It was communicated to them. They communicated to me exactly the situation. Called a timeout with 1 second left on the clock. They said he was out of bounds, which he wasn't out of bounds. So I told him when the replay comes back, you're going to say his knee's down. The side judge right there says you called the timeout. You're going to get to kick the 50-yard field goal to win the game. He goes over and tells him while they're in the booth, comes back and says, hey, coach, I told him if they rule that there's 1 second, you'll get your timeout. The ball will be down there for you to kick it. And they came back over and completely went against it. So extremely disappointed in that. That's not an opinion. I'm not complaining about it. I'm just giving you the exact facts of the situation. Really disappointed in that.
Did the head official then explain why he didn't give you the timeout?
Because he said that if there was 1 second, you wouldn't have had enough time to call a timeout. Well, I've been around football a long time. You call timeouts in 1 second all the time. What you do, you call a timeout, the guy's knee hits the ground, and you get the play run.
But before that, he said if there's a second left, you will.
Yeah, I told him exactly that, because I explained the situation. I said, you're going to review this, they're going to come back down and say y'all screwed it up, he wasn't out of bounds, his knee was down, then they're going to say there's 1 second on the clock. You got to tell him that we called the timeout here. And he said, I'll go tell him. And he came back, he said he understands, he's got it. If his knee was down in bounds with a second, you're going to get to kick it. So I ran our field goal team out there.
Can you talk about where your team is at right now? The result notwithstanding, do you still feel like, it seemed like you talked about last week that the cloud is kind of lifting. It seemed like that was the feeling for the most part today.
Yeah, obviously I wish we would have won it. Obviously wish we would have won the game. But, if you're going to play a team that's got the longest winning streak in the country and has beat everybody all year by over 25 points, and you go down to a game that obviously go either way, ball bouncing different. That was an extremely competitive game by two teams playing really hard. Obviously we want to win, but as far as effort and where your team's at, you've got to be pleased. And I thought our crowd was awesome. Our crowd was electric. They really helped us out, and it was great to have that back. I think that's been gone for a while. That feeling that there was tonight. Unfortunately, we didn't finish for them.
Sorry, Coach. What did you tell your guys in the locker room just now?
Just stay together. Don't hang your head. Obviously, we wish the outcome was different. Do a great job in the media. Go back to work with a short week and get ready to go play a road game.
Coach, the pick six, unusual circumstances, especially who threw it. Did you feel like, all right, there's no way we're going to get this up now?
Yeah, really, we had talked all week, about Stanford had not had to go into a fourth quarter, really. They hadn't trailed all year, I don't think, for a second. And so, we wanted to take them into the fourth quarter, have it close, take the lead, in the second half like we did, and see what happens. See what happens when you're put in that situation that you haven't been before, where we've had to be in those situations. So that's why it's good to have competitive games sometimes. And Nikel came up with a big play and looked like it was going to swing. We're going to win the game there.
Was there a time, or if so, how many times, that you thought you had the game sealed up?
I wouldn't say sealed up. I mean, I felt good about the game a number of times. I can't even remember how many. The game seemed like it lasted forever. And there were so many times that you felt like we were going to win the game. You know, obviously the penalty, the targeting penalty really was a swing there, you know, where you thought that we were going to win it there. So, but like I said, I'm proud of how our guys kept fighting regardless of what the circumstances were.
Considering how he played, how tough was it to see the game end that way for Curtis?
Yeah, really for a bunch of guys, but Curtis especially, you know, how well, as you mentioned, how well he had played, and he's banged up in there. Mark went out in the first series, I think his first carry, so he was out for the game. You know, so it was good to see the way Curtis played throughout the game, and unfortunately, obviously didn't do very well there.
Can you talk about the defensive line and how much pressure they brought on Luck, and it seemed like, you know, it was really their best game?
Yeah, I thought the defensive line did do some good things, especially, you know, early on. We wore down a little bit there late, you know, but they really got after them, and versus a great offensive line.
You said this week that Andrew Luck was pretty much perfect. Did he play like you thought he was going to?
Yeah, he did, outside of one throw. I thought he played really good. And, you know, the stats aren't going to show some of the plays that he makes that, you know, I talked about all week. The thing that makes him different than just the normal, really special pocket passer is he makes so many plays with his feet. There's so many times, third down plays he makes, where there's a guy there, not just as he's scrambling for something, he makes a guy miss. Some good players, some good tacklers. So, you know, it's why he's going on to be the first pick of the draft.
Where did Matt measure up with him today?
I thought they were about equal. You know, I would say, and that's really what I've said really in general about the two. Whenever people say, what's the difference? I said, really the only difference to me is really the feet. You know, Andrew's just faster, you know. I thought they basically played about the same.
Coach, how much do you think was the wear down factor on the D, especially in the last quarter or so, as opposed to what they did?
Well, I don't know. You know, we did lose Wes there. He was out, and so, you know, it kind of messed up our rotation at defensive end. And so, but we were throwing guys in there. You know, Junior Devine made a couple plays today. You know, another kid you probably hadn't heard of, a true freshman. So, once again, it's a young team, bunch of guys making plays. And those are a bunch of young kids making plays. You know, obviously Marquise making plays again out there, and Nikel Roby. You know, a bunch of first and second year guys.
Was Mark the shoulder he had injured previously, and what was Wes's?
I don't know what Wes's was. He didn't return, and Mark's was the same shoulder.
Are there any other serious injuries that you know?
No.
Lane, what was the thinking with the pass at the end of the game instead of, you know, maybe running it or centering it or, you know, anything else?
Pass at the end of the game?
At the end of regulation.
Oh, end of regulation. It's a screen play that usually doesn't break all the way back over there. We were just too far for a field goal where we were at, I think in the 57 or something like that. So we had to get some yards. I think we were in the 40. So we wanted to get 8-10 yards, you know, to make it a manageable field goal. And unfortunately, it didn't work out.
Thank you.
Thank you.